Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Lindsey of Lottie Albert and I have for you today a new podcast episode. So I'm going to be talking all about my recent finished objects, works in progress and also some new things. I also have a giveaway at the end of this episode. Let me just grab the things and I'll show you. I'll give you a little sneaky peek. Ooh. It's hooks and yarn, you guys, and it is for my subscribers. So if you are one of my subscribers, thank you so much. This is to celebrate the fact that I recently hit 5,000 subscribers here on YouTube, which is amazing. And side note, I just hit 30,000 on Instagram, so it's a little bit of a milestone week. I know numbers aren't everything, but we're going to celebrate it because I think it's amazing that 5,000 people want to subscribe to my channel. So at the end, as I said, it's for subscribers only, but keep watching and I'll give you all the details. I have two finished objects, a new work in progress, a work in progress I've worked on, and what else do I have to show you? Just loads of stuff, loads of stuff. If I've got time, I've also got a massive yarn haul. I know, I haven't been buying yarn. It is all for my book. But I do have a big yarn haul, so possibly that will be in this video, or possibly I'll add it on to a new video. So what shall we start with? There's literally so much to show you. I think I'll start with the finished objects. So the first finished object I have not brought in its physical form because it's quite large, and actually if you've watched the podcast for a while you will have seen this before when it was first published in Molly Makes, and it is my powder room Stool pattern. It is now up live, so if you want to go check that out, then please do. It's basically a big loop stitch, a bit like Harry here is, and all the loops are cut at the end. So I'll put the link in the description, and I'll also put some pictures of my stool. I'm basically on a mission to publish all the patterns that I've been sitting on, or I now have rights to, and I haven't published. So this is the first of hopefully one of many. And yeah, I hope you all like it. I also did share a video all about loop stitch. I think it was the two videos ago. So if it's something that you want to try in the future or you're interested in, then add it to your to watch videos or go and check it out. I showed, get my little box. I showed in the video how to create loops and cut them, and also how to colour change in loop stitch, because it's something that I found tended to come undone unless you used an extended loop stitch. So that's in the video too. So I'm going to count that as a finished object. It's a bit of a cheat because okay, I did a little while ago, but it's a finished object. The next finished object I have to show you is some crochet baskets, and I am really pleased with these. So the story behind them is I'm actually going to be teaching these as a virtual live crochet class for the Knitting and Stitching Show. Now if you're in the UK you may have heard of the Knitting and Stitching Show, but if not, it's basically like a big trade and customer knitting and stitching show that is normally hosted once a year in like a big venue here in the UK. Obviously this year it can't happen because COVID, but they are still doing some virtual classes, and I am really thrilled to have been asked to teach a masterclass. So it's going to be on Zoom, and yeah, I guess I will be seeing people on the computer. I've got to go to a studio where it's going to be filmed, and it's an hour and a half, and it's happening at the end of November. And so I had to create, they wanted an exclusive project that hadn't been published before, so I've created this, and it is two stacking baskets. So they're both the sort of same construction, and they sit inside each other, and then they've got this little loop detail on the front, which I think is my fave. They are made sort of amigurumi style, so in spirals in the round, and they are crochet rope. So as you can see, this is the rope in the center, and they are crocheted around with this Aran weight yarn. So although you use rope, and this is what it looks like when you first when it arrives, you only use a 5mm hook. So I really like this method of creating structural crochet, because as amazing as t-shirt yarn is, I do find t-shirt yarn can be quite hard on the hands after a while, and I love, as you know, making homewares and baskets and things. So I thought I would do this technique, and I created these 2 new baskets. So I hope you like them. These are a finished object as far as I'm concerned. I haven't taught the class yet. It's going to be on the 21st of November. So if any of you did want to join me, I will put the details below. It's not a sales pitch. Obviously, I'm here to show you what I've been working on, and I've been working on the baskets. But if you did want to join me, you'd be very welcome to. You can book through the knitting and stitching show. And also, I am offering kits. So you buy your ticket, and that's with the knitting and stitching show, and then you can either source your own materials and they give you a full list of what you need and how much you need, or you can buy a kit from me and I will post it out to you and it will be ready. And so on the day we can all crochet with exactly the same thing. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. I'm also very nervous, but I'm just gonna pretend like I'm making a video and I'm talking to you guys. I don't know, maybe there'll only be like 5 people, and so it'll just be like a nice sort of one-on-one teaching, or maybe there'll be like 100 people. I don't really know what capacity does Zoom have to show you everybody's faces. I'm sure the knitting and stitching show will give me details. But yeah, there's another finished object, and soon to be a class, and also a kit if you would like to check it out. I have another finished object which I'm just going to grab and show you. And also, is it too bright in here? I'm really sorry if it is. I've just moved you slightly, so I felt like one side of my face was white and one was in shadow. The third finished object I have to show you is another sort of work project that I have been working on, and warning, it is Christmassy. I'm sorry about that. But I'm pleased to show it you, because I feel like whenever I normally show you these projects, it's too late and you can't get it if you want to. But if you were interested in this one, it's still available, and it is the latest Craftiosity project that I have been doing. So if you are new around here, you may not know, I mostly do crochet design, but I also do a bit of general craft design, and the craft box that I work for is called Craftiosity. And this month it is all about decorating these lovely wooden baubles. And so here is what I did. It's a brush lettering kit this month, and these are the baubles. Always wants to focus on my face rather than the project. And I know, I mean, obviously I'm biased. I always feel a bit silly when I say I really like them, because I designed them and made them, but I really like them. They use brush lettering pens and also a little bit of paint, and then this one says merry and bright around it. So obviously in the kit you get these, you get the pens, you get some paint, so it's a really lovely one. But also it gives you some ideas of how you can decorate your wrapping paper this Christmas with the pens. Are we feeling festive yet? So yeah, I'm really happy with that one. And it's quite nice now it's October, because honestly I have been working on Christmas stuff since August, and in August it feels a bit weird, and then September it's like, okay, I'm into it, but I know a lot of you guys are still like, whoa, it's only September. And then October, and now it's like nearly the end of October, I'm like, fair game. It's Christmas now, everybody. It's been Christmas for me for months, and now it's Christmas for you as well. So that is, I'm gonna call that a third finished object that I have finished. Again, if you wanted to go and have a look at that box, or if you were interested, then I will put the links below. I feel like I don't need to say that now. Do you guys know that that was what I'll do? Okay, so shall we talk about works in progress? Because I have done some works, some progress on my works, and I have done some work on my, I haven't worked on it in so long I've forgotten what it's called, travelling Afghan project. So I have one brand new square, and because I'm so behind and there are so many I need to catch up on, I've forgotten the names, but I will put them on the screen of the number square this is and the designer. I think I showed you this one last time. This was the Alpine Stitch one that I did. And then I started on this next one. So basically this tends to be a project I work on in the evenings, like when I'm watching TV. And I chose this one because it seemed like a simple one. I've got lots to catch up on. Some are more simple and some are more complicated, and it really just depends on the designer and what they chose to do, because each square is designed by a different designer and there's a new square released every 2 weeks. But I wanted to talk to you guys about this one because let's talk granny squares. I'm sure a lot of you have made granny squares in the past because it tends to be something you start with, doesn't it? I have never made a granny square where you turn your work. I always just have worked around, and I know that sometimes that means you have to kind of like slip stitch over to the corner, or you have to sort of chain a bit and work a couple until you get to the corner and then it's a nice even row. But I mean, I haven't done tons of granny square projects, but I never have had an issue with my granny squares twisting. Now this granny square got you to turn at the end of, I think it was like the first, second, third and fourth rows. Sorry, I don't know what the sun is doing. I haven't had a memo. And I just felt like it made it twist. But like I said, I haven't done enough granny square projects to have made the same square where you turn it versus where you just go around and round. But I don't really like it. Let me know in the comments what your experience is, what your preferred way is. But I feel like you can see, obviously I could block it, but towards the end where the pattern changed slightly and I felt like I had a handle on the pattern, I just kind of did it my own way, and I didn't turn, I just carried on going around like in a spiral. I just feel like you can see, it doesn't really matter, does it? But I feel like sometimes it's nice to get into the nitty-gritty of these things. I felt like it was twisting it. Personally, I felt like it was twisting it. But yeah, let me know what you think, what your experience is. Honestly, that's fun. Let me see if I can turn you down. And then the other square I started, I thought was going to be like a nice, easy whilst watching TV one. It's quite cool because it's worked on the side. I think I'm dead on halfway through here. Was this square, and again I have not memorized the designer or what number square this was, but I'll put it below. But it's basically a mix of trebles and then sort of grannies. But in some places, is this the right side of the work? Yeah, in some places you work so that, oh, look how well my nails match, that's satisfying. You work so it kind of creates this, I think you do a slip stitch row. So can you see how it creates this like standing line here? So that was a really nice little detail. So first appearance is slightly deceptive, not the easiest one, I think, because basically some rows are increased rows, some rows aren't. So there was a lot of counting involved, and by sort of like 9 PM in the evening, I feel like counting's not my forte at that time. But look guys, I've made 1.5 more squares. So I've got these ones which need to be joined. And then just because it's been ages, I'll show you again, but haven't joined any more. These are the 8 squares that I had previously made and joined together, and they're upside down. And I think we're up to square like 20 or something. But it's more progress than last time. So you'll take what you're given, folks. We're calling that progress on a work in progress on my travelling Afghan. And I'm guessing, yeah, well I guess I've been working on it since January and it is now October, so I don't really know where that time has gone. Lockdown is where that time has gone, but oh wait, oh no, I thought that was another square, but it's not. That's just another random whip I started making in the summer. This is my bag of yarn for the project, so I wasn't sure if I was going to have enough of this light pink, so I have pulled together a sort of collection of other colours, some of which are pink and some of which are sort of like white and creamy colours, as you can see. This one is a boucle yarn. Isn't it pretty? It's a drops yarn, alpaca boucle. I haven't used many drop yarns, but all the ones I have used I really like, so maybe there needs to be more drops yarns in my future. What is your favourite drops yarn? I've used the drops, oh, I'm not good at Aztec. No, I can't remember now, that's annoying. I'll try and remember. The next work in progress I have to show you is a completely new one that I started on a little bit of a whim last week. Got really obsessed with for sort of like a day and a half, and I've had to put it aside. I'll show you. I had to put it aside just because I'm finding where I'm now balancing working on crochet projects in the day, particularly for my book, which I've been doing a lot of, although I can't show you, which is slightly driving me crazy. Where I've been working on a lot of crochet projects in the day, I do also then have a tendency to just carry on working on it in the evening. And I was having a chat with my mum, and she was sort of saying to me, my mum, if you don't know, ran a fabric shop and taught patchwork and sewing for sort of all of my childhood. She now actually owns a wool shop, which is pretty handy. So she's sort of familiar with the process of turning your hobby into your job. And she said to me, you just need something else to work on in the evening. She was like, give yourself a break, do something different. I was like, yes, I am going to do that. I'm going to work on a really fun crochet project that I've been wanting to do for ages. She was like, that's not really what I meant, Lindsay. She was like, I meant read a book or do something unrelated to crochet. But apparently I just can't not do crochet. So I started a new crochet project. But you know what? It was really nice to have something different to work on and something that was just for me. And that's partly why I was doing those squares as well. So that I had, yeah, just something that wasn't work related. Although obviously I do take her point, it is still crochet. What's the saying? There's a saying in the UK, I'm sure it probably translates in other ways to other countries, but it's like bringing coals to Newcastle, because traditionally I believe there was a lot of coal in Newcastle. So me crocheting for pleasure is, yeah, well, that's what I like to do. Obviously, it's what I like to do. I'll show you, I'll stop waffling. And again, if you have watched the podcast for a very long time, like I'm thinking like 2 years ago, if not longer, you may remember this book, Glorious Crochet Sweaters. So Glorious Crochet Sweaters is a book that I actually hunted down on, I think it was either eBay or Amazon, after seeing it on another crochet podcast. So I watched the Lulu Loves podcast, which I highly recommend. It is a video podcast on YouTube. And she had found this in a charity shop, because as you can probably tell by the styling and the photography, it is a, shall we say, vintage crochet book. It was written, I think it said it was published in 1989, so not that long ago. But in fact, I can tell you it's exactly 31 years ago, because it's a year younger than me. Yeah, oh, 1988. So it's the same age as me. But it's amazing, and I'll show you. I'll show you first just some of the projects. Hello. And possibly, oh my gosh, just look at this. I love, look at that, actually that one's on the back as well. I love crochet colour work, and I haven't made enough garments in my time. Look at this coat. This coat is so in fashion now. If you made that in like a white or a pale pink thick boucle yarn, people were all over those teddy bear coats. It just has so many different project ideas. So there's like mummy and me projects. Look, is that not like a Lindsey project written all over it? Front and back post stitch texture, crochet cables. And what I really love about this book is so many of these projects look like they could be knit, because they're just sort of that next level crochet and crochet colour work and crochet texture. Now, before you all rush out and try and find old copies of this book, the one thing that I would say about it is, and again, obviously I wasn't crocheting when I was 1 year old, but I don't know if this is standard of the time. There is very little information. The pattern stuff is sparse, so not like today where if I were to write a garment pattern, I would feel the expectation would be you would have to size it from basically size 6 to like size 22 or even a larger size range than that. Otherwise, I don't know if people complain, but I think that is that's the current expectation, that if you do a garment you offer it in those sizings. And obviously there are some people who self-publish patterns who aren't doing that, but I kind of think if you are a credible designer, that's the offering that's expected. The one that I'm making from this book gives you one size, so I don't know what you're supposed to do if you're not the same size. I thankfully am within the size range, but I'm sure that a lot of people wouldn't be. I think it might be quite long on me because I am quite short. But the one I have started making is this one. And I don't know if it's like terrible or amazing, but I'm really enjoying making it. So this is called the Folklore cardigan. And it says, motifs in contemporary colours make real showstoppers. Soft mohair adds featherweight warmth. And I don't know how well you can see, but it is a mohair cardigan. I also really love this one and this one. Actually, I want to make them all. And I think I said when I initially bought this book, I wanted to make something out of it. The other thing is, this is like what you get in terms of the schematics. And then, are you ready for your eyes to hurt? This is the charts. They are pretty tiny, and for instance on this sleeve that I'm working here, like, don't hate me for writing on the book, but I just had to do something because my eyes were like close to bleeding. It's obviously shaped here. What it says in the instructions is you need to increase at the end of every, so this is the instructions. You increase at the end of every third and at the end of every fourth row, and then in between that you just have to follow the graph for the colour work. And then also you have to add on a stitch at either end for sort of like the border, and so you do that in whatever colour you happen to be working on the edge stitches in. But for some reason I don't know why they couldn't have just included those single stitches in the graph. Also, luckily I'm not working this cardigan because Lord no, I mean I wear contact lenses, but I have quite good eyesight. Lord knows how. Can you see how they've printed that graph over the top of a really busy, dark crochet photograph? Yeah, I don't know. Is this what all books were like in the 80s? Did people just have superior crochet knowledge? This is intense. And also, I think because, you know, it's like pre-digital drawing, it looks like all these graphs have been drawn out on actual graph paper and then scanned in. So the lines in some places are like a little bit watery and wobbly. Anyway, I ended up on the back of this letter having to write out my rows, what I needed to increase by in each row. George happened here. George was helping me. just be, and can you see how I've got like the row number, what the stitch count should be at the end of the row, and then I had to use Roman numerals to tell me if it was a first, second, third or fourth row. And I know I'm going on and on and on, and it's not actually in massive criticism of the book, because I think that the designs in here are good enough for me to persevere, and I just want to go and find more vintage crochet books, because I just don't feel like you can get patterns like this in books at the moment. I think maybe crochet, did people fall out of love with crochet in the 80s and 90s, and now I feel like we're getting back there, but a lot of the patterns now are just a lot more basic, or maybe it's just me because I'm always looking for quick Aran weight projects. I know I'm not finding the more detailed garments, but look at this beauty. Anyway, so yeah, it's not a massive criticism of the book, but I feel like the context is necessary for you to understand the garment. So I've done nearly one sleeve, and I'll show you. And you might be wondering, mohair, Lindsay, are you going to go out and buy a load of mohair for that jumper? No, you don't need to worry. I already had a full box full of random mohair. Funnily enough, I think a lot of this mohair is also from the 80s, or at least the 90s, because I picked up loads of it in charity shops. And on several occasions, I think it was probably when I was like a year or two into crochet, and I do frequent charity shops a lot. I like buying secondhand clothes for my kids. Obviously I buy like good quality stuff, but I think it's better environmentally, it's better for my purse. And I like browsing charity shops. And I'm a sucker for yarn, so obviously whenever I see yarn, I tend to buy it, and especially if I saw several balls together. Let me see if I can show you. This is a bag. This isn't actually strictly mohair. In fact, it doesn't really... What's purlon? Is that a kind of wool? This one is 50% purlon and 50% acrylic. But that is one of the ones I'm using just because it's got that fluff and halo. And then I also had several balls of this, which I picked up in charity shops. This is Fildar Ludmilla, and it's kid mohair. I'll show you the label because I feel like you can tell from the label what sort of, you know, how old the yarn is. And this is just the best bright pink colour, isn't it? I think that's why I bought it. And now that I think about it, it's probably not surprising that loads of mohair ends up in charity shops, or loads of yarn like this, because it's not the easiest to work with. It's not the thing that you'd reach for when making like baby jackets and things. I feel like it's probably just stuff that's left in people's stash that's then been donated, either when they've, I don't know, not used it anymore, or possibly even passed away. But that is, you know, gorgeous pink yarn that I picked up. And then I also had a big bag of this colour yarn, and I did have some ball bands for this, but now I'm not 100% sure what's happened to them. Oh, here we are. Here's one that's still got its ball band on. So this is Bergeret de France Mohair 50. And so these are the sort of main ones that were making up my mohair stash. But then I also had a selection of, what are your feelings about this colour palette? Stevie, if you're watching, I'm sure you're going to love it. I also had a selection of, again, not strictly mohairs, but yarns like this, which were fluffy. So this one is an alpaca and wool yarn. And again, these ones are slightly thicker, but do you know what? I thought to myself, that looks like a fun pattern. I have a shed load of mohair that has been sat unused for a few years. Okay, some of these are slightly different weights. Let's just see what happens. So that's basically what I've done. And again, I don't know if I'm going to work on it and then it's going to just be like so 80s, I feel like I can't wear it. But I'll have had fun making it, right? You guys will hopefully have fun looking at it. So this is the sleeve. And can you see how many different colours there are? So this is also what kind of hurt my head, because you can't really tell down here, but This is lilac and this is lilac. This side is grey and this side is cream. And equally up here, it changes from like cream to grey to dark purple. On this sleeve, this is the right hand sleeve. These two diamonds here are pink and this one is dark pink. But on the other sleeve, they are the other way round. And another confusing thing about this pattern is it doesn't tell you which is the right and the wrong side. So when I worked these colours here, these two colours here, I started on the right side of the work, so when I was reading the graph. But when it came the next time to introduce some colour, I was on a wrong side row. So then I had to mentally flip the graph and work from the opposite side, because the way the colours were placed in relation to each other didn't match up with the side I was on the graph. And if this was symmetrically even, it wouldn't matter which way I was reading the graph or which was the right and the wrong side. But so I just had to kind of choose which was the wrong side and which was the right side. And now when I do the next sleeve, I'm going to have to be mindful of that, because I think the next sleeve basically works in the same pattern but flipped. So it's been a little bit of a challenge. This is the kind of sleeve shape, so it goes out quite large here, and then it starts to taper into a point up to here. So it's that called a fitted sleeve, and I haven't actually done a garment construction like that before. All the garments I've done have just pretty much been like square drop shoulders. So that'll be interesting. And yeah, like, it's a bit crazy, isn't it? But it's also quite amazing. And I quite enjoyed the sort of, I felt like I was doing a puzzle, like a jigsaw puzzle, trying to work out all the colours and the increases and the decreases. You can see where I got a little bit confused a few times. This should be like a nice increase, and I find it quite hard when you're working into chains at the end of your crochet. Sometimes you do miss them, don't you? I still do that. And it's like too proud to use a stitch marker, which I should just use because it would be easier. And because it's mohair and there's the sort of halo and the fluff, it's even harder to see in places. So yeah, if we're being like super critical, it's a little bit wonky in places, but never mind. And then what's happening now is, can you see how it's kind of switched up to this cream? This main colour here, which is this is kind of like really dark pink, is now turning into cream. So where you can see on her jumper it's got like cream up here, and this is an orange, mine is pink, and it's gonna turn to cream like on the shoulders. So I was thinking, well, I'll do it that way round, because then you've kind of got a paler colour close to your face, and it's not quite so busy. But I am wondering if I should have maybe done the paler colour down here, because it's going to be very pink, you guys. But I mean, in for a penny, in for a pound. If you're making an 80s jumper in mohair, why not use lilac and pink? Why not? So yeah, we'll see. I'm going to try and keep up the momentum with that one, because I made that sleeve quite quickly for me. And yeah, I just think I want to work on it now. I'm talking about it. Let me know what you think. Do you find this horrific? Is it a bit too much of a blast to the past for you? Or are you secretly loving it like me? I'd love to know what you think. Let's do the giveaway. So the little giveaway I have for you, as I said, it's just a bit of a thank you to those of you that have subscribed to my channel and always leave comments and support me, because I really appreciate it. So I have 2 little prizes, and one is for 2 balls of this Regia yarn. This is really fun yarn. It is called Cotton Colour Tutti Frutti, and one is an apple colourway, and the second is a watermelon colourway. And they are sock yarns, so if you're a knitter, then this is how they are going to work up, in theory. But if you're a crocheter, then these are really fun to use in sort of colourwork projects, or you could make socks out of them too and see how they turn out. So that is sort of prize number 1. And then prize number 2 is a set of clover hooks. Now, this isn't sponsored by them. I have just sort of done these prizes myself, but clover hooks, in particular clover amore, are my favourite hooks, and I use them all the time. They are these sort of ergonomic hooks, and they just, do you know, they look exactly the same as all the cheaper metal hooks with squishy handles you can get, but something about them is just amazing. Now this set is actually for the sort of thinner end of the crochet spectrum, so these sizes go from 0.6mm to 1.75. So if you like to do lots of lace work or thinner crochet, then these are going to be your bag. And so to enter, all you need to do is be one of my subscribers, and you can subscribe now if you want to get into the giveaway, but I will just choose people from my subscriber list, and then just comment on the video and say which prize you would prefer to win. And that's what you need to do. So you can comment and say, I would love to use the hooks, or you can comment and say, I'd really like the sock yarn and this is what I would make. Yeah, it's as easy as that really. So I hope you like the little prizes, and I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. I will allow a week for the giveaway. So next Sunday I will contact you by replying to your comment on the video to let you know if you are the winners. And what I will do is I will make a list of everybody who has said hooks and everybody who has said sock yarn, and then I will do a random number generator to choose the winner. So yeah, this is as easy as that. I hope you have enjoyed today's video. Do let me know if you have been inspired by any of the projects. If you wanted to come and join me on the live crochet masterclass, I would love to see some of you there from my YouTube community. That would be amazing to actually see some of your faces on the virtual Zoom call. And you can go and check out those details below. Or if you wanted to check out any of the other things I have mentioned, all those details are below too. So yeah, thank you guys, and I will see you all next week with another video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.